So I've been thinking a lot about the show Andor lately. A lot. And I had to force Steve to watch it because he hates Star Wars, which is fine. More on that another time, but for now, Steve, what do you think of Andor?
Andor is surprisingly good. So what I was expecting when Reese recommended it is more, by my lights, pretty poor writing at best for young people who want to see some, flying lightsabers, some ships and stuff like that. But actually it's...
Well, that is what most Star Wars fans do seem to want, but yes.
Yeah. But what I found was that it was more akin to HBO's Rome or Game of Thrones, and that is that there was some complicated characters that are acting in ways that are not black and white in terms of morality. And there's just a lot to chew onto. So Andor it's not just good. I think it's one of the best things I've seen in a long time.
Which is high praise indeed. But we'll do more on that another time. For now, just to give you an idea of how solid the writing in this show can get, we want to deal with an interaction that occurs pretty late in the series, episode 10, between the two characters of Luthen Rael and Lonnie Young. And we
should say that this isn't a massive spoiler. So if you end up watching this video before you watch Andor, I'd argue it's not.
It's not actually a spoiler for events, I suppose.
It gives you a little bit about some of the characters, but it's not something that's going to make you go, damn, I know what's coming up. It's a bit of world building. It's not the worst thing in the world. And I would want to know that before watching this video. So for what it's worth, I wouldn't worry too much about spoilers for this one.
It does contain some, but not anything that's going to impact your viewing of the show too much.
Luthen is an incredibly charismatic character, but he's also pragmatic, ruthlessly pragmatic, as are lots of the characters in this. And he has a consequentialist mindset.
Which we'll see very shortly.
We will very much see it in this scene as part of what makes this scene so interesting. So that's Luthen. I don't know if you want to add anything else, really.
No, not really. Just to say that the scene we're about to interact with, he has just been notified that one of his spies is looking to have a face-to-face conversation with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gone out to meet him. So that's the setup for Luthen in this scene. Now, the other character I mentioned was Lonnie Young. Now, what we've seen of him up until this point is that he is an ISB operative. So this is the Imperial Security Bureau. So he's kind of like a high-up secret police sort of character. And the interactions we've seen with him so far is he's been very calm, collected, and professional. He's suggested ideas that have made improvements to plans that the ISB have in motion.
Yeah.
And here we find out that he is the spy for Luthen. He has been, this whole time, on the inside, feeding information back to the rebels.
And yet now...
He's been a background character up until this point. You never thought anything of him. It's like, oh, he's an extra.
But that's actually one of the things that Andor does so well. Slight tangent, but background characters are not just background characters. They actually do something. They're people. They're very believable. That's one of the things they've done so well with this. Like, so many characters are believable, and yet this one becomes even more believable with this scene.
So what we're seeing here in this scene is in stark contrast to every other scene that we've seen Lonnie in when he's in the ISB.
Yep.
Where he was, professional and calm. Now we're seeing him very tense and scared, because if he's suspected of turning on the rebels, they could drop him here.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a lift that is out of his control.
Yeah, quite literally drop him, yeah.
But working as he is for the ISB, if he's discovered communicating with a rebel, he'd be tortured. A horrible existence. Either way, the outcomes here could be bad for Lonnie.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you were saying about being in an elevator that can be dropped, there's so much here that's being done right in the scene. So, for one, he is a very good actor, and a lot of his emotions are coming across. But like, if you just check out the scene, it's like a horror scene, right? He's in a confined space. He doesn't have control of his external environment, which speaks to the sentiment of how he's feeling inside. You've got like this sickly green hue, which is very characteristic of horror films in general. And you're seeing this angle that's looking up at him and seeing him in a vulnerable state with some sharp expressions.
Yeah,
Just so much here, like, it's great. Like, It's a good show.
We know that there's a raid planned on the power station at Spellhouse. If Krieger attacks, they'll be waiting.
So Lonnie has revealed that the ISB know of an upcoming rebel attack on a power station at Spellhouse.
Yep.
And he's now delivering this information here, obviously hoping to avert the crisis.
And immediately, Luthen has said, well, if we act on this, then they're going to know that we know something. And so do we really want to cash this in now? Do we want to, let them know that we actually have a mole? And that's a difficult... I mean, this is played out in other films and played out in other events. Imitation Game has a really good scene like this.
What would the Germans think if we destroy their U-boats?
Nothing, they'll be dead.
No, you can't be right.
So our convoy suddenly veers off course. A squadron of RAF bombers miraculously descends on the coordinates of the U-boats. What will the Germans think?
The Germans will know that we have broken Enigma.
And if he doesn't, they'll know something's amiss.
They'll be slaughtered.
It's 50 men. You're worth more than that.
You have to warn them.
To what end? Ruin everything? What better way to reassure the ISB there's no leak in security than sacrificing Krieger?
Now, this speaks to the pragmatism of so many characters, but especially Luthen, and that is that he has on the one side 50 men that are in favour of the rebellion, and he, upon getting this information from Lonnie, he's immediately like, nope, we got to let them die. And the reason for that is because he knows that this is such an important piece of information that he's got that he can't risk having his opposition figure out that he's got a mole in the system. And that's why he has to let 50 men die, which is a huge loss.
It's not just a mole in the system, is it?
No.
It's in one of probably the most important parts of the Empire you could get a mole into. This is the security service of the Empire, and he's got a man high up in the rooms where decisions are being made. If he notifies his team now, the ISB are going to start looking for a mole. And what cannot risk that.
Exactly. And one of the sentiments that we're going to see Lonnie express is that he feels like Luthen doesn't care for him. But this is actually him caring so much that he'd discard 50 men. It's a
not caring for him as a person.
Oh, no, not as a person, but for pragmatic reasons.
You can't act on every bit of information. When you break the Enigma code, you can't act on every bit of information that comes through that code.
Yep.
Because they'll know you've broken it and they'll switch to a new code system.
Yep.
Whereas if you're more careful with how you act on it, only acting in certain occasions or finding a way to set up a discovery of the action before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, we just happen to have a spy plane in the area and we've discovered it that way. It wasn't through the code sort of thing. But he hasn't got time to do that here. So he's going to have to let them go.
No, I completely agree. And this is one of the reasons I like this as well. This is bringing into question very dark and difficult moral questions that pertain to consequentialism, that pertain to a teleologically based orientation when it comes to these big topics, right? Do you pull the trigger on this, or do you let 50 people die? Like, what do you do in these situations?
And they're moral questions that real people have had to face.
They are.
That's another important thing for relatability.
Yep. And the other thing is that Luthen answers so quickly that he's already thought about these kinds of things and almost certainly done these kinds of things in the past. He has a modus operandi, and that's what allows him to immediately, upon receiving the information, go, yeah, so what? It's a brilliant character. It's very, very pragmatic.
I'm doing this for you as much as anything.
You get a very good look of Lonnie here. He looks scared as this elevator suddenly stops. It really does illustrate his lack of control here. He's not in control of this elevator. It's going where Luthen wants it to go. And he is just a pawn in this game.
So here we see Luthen still stood in the shadows. So despite being in control, he's still being cautious, because it's possible that Lonnie might have had someone with him and he doesn't want to give him an ID. So even in this state, he's being cautious. He's never turning off this.
Just shows how smart this character is.
Yeah.
Tell me why we're really here today, Lonnie.
I can't do this anymore.
I'm a father now. I had no idea how it would feel.
And here's Lonnie's reason for meeting face to face, because they obviously have something set up where they can normally feed the information out.
Yeah.
They don't meet face to face every time. So why has he done it here? He wants out. He doesn't want in this game anymore. He's got a family. He's got stuff to lose.
Yeah, he's got something to lose, exactly. He just, as you said, he just wants out. He's desperate, and all of the scenes are illustrating this, including his position on screen here. He's isolated. He's in a tiny little elevator and just at the complete mercy of Luthen.
We took a vow.
I'm giving you Dead Ramiro. I'm giving you Spellhouse. I'm warning you about Ferrix. I'm honouring my vow.
Look, I'll give you these things. Just please let me go.
Yep.
And that this is his last-ditch effort. He's feeling trapped.
Yeah, here's a big bag of goodies. Look, I'm out, but here you go.
And Luthen is smart enough to call it out.
He is.
I've been working my way through there for 6 years. Working my way up. Alone.
So what was your plan? Gather a big basket of goodies for me as a farewell gift?
Again, if he cares about Lonnie, and I'd like to think that he does, I'm not sure, but I'd like to think that he does, it's quite a bold move to just straight up go, oh, you're just going to come here and give me a bag of goodies. Not good enough.
What were you planning to tell the ISP?
My health. My wife's family has an import business.
Even as you say the words, you know it's impossible. We can't let you go, Lonnie. We can't spare you. We've been grooming you for too long, and yes, you've been alone. Your career has profited greatly from information that we've provided.
Your career has profited greatly. He's very much, Lonnie, we're not letting you go. The amount of time we think you've got to get a man through the security bureau's recruitment process. You've got to get them through that, and then you've got to get them up the ladder so that they're in that command room.
Yeah.
The amount of time and effort that has taken, they cannot let him go.
Like, if you're following a cause, even if you love the person and they desperately want out, you can't afford it. It's just too precious. And here he is, just saying it straight to him. And how does Lonnie react?
He's distressed as hell.
Yeah, he is.
One thing that really does have to be mentioned here is Stellan Skarsgård gets a lot of props for his acting, and rightfully so. He's phenomenal, and then especially in this. But I really, really do want to praise Robert Ems in this.
Beautiful.
My God, this man he's really selling me that he is distressed. He's terrified. He is at the end of the rope. He needs out.
Yeah.
But he knows he can't. He knows that Luthen is right here, but he's going to try his damnedest to get out anyway.
But if you said to me, Steve, you've got to act this out and convey this with emotion, that's a tall order. This guy is selling it. Like, the jaw moving, the eyes, the specific number of blinks.
Taking the breaths in between.
It's just really good acting. And he deserves it. So, like, well done, man. Like, that is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, one thing that you sort of don't get when an actor's trying to portray this sort of panic, when you're scared as hell, your eyes can't focus on any one thing.
Yep.
So you're getting that out of him. He's clearly got like a very dry mouth because he's just breathing quite hard this whole time because he's
also licking his lips.
So he's moistening that mouth back up again. So all these things, I know it sounds silly to sort of praise all of this. You don't see it that often.
It doesn't sound silly, and I'm hoping someone in the audience will agree with me here, and I know that you do. This is why this is good and why a lot of Star Wars isn't. I buy the character. It feels real. Like, it's not some massive event and like, oh, I didn't care about that. No, like this is fear and emotion and distress. And
one of the things that catches me in this scene so much is it's not just the words between the characters. It's that fear that he has is palpable. That worry that he has is there.
Yeah.
And I connect emotionally quite a lot with him in this scene.
Yeah. So what was
more so than I do with Luthen, to be honest, because while I understand what he's doing, it comes across as so cold and brutal.
Well, his character is made in such a way as not to be able to convey these types of emotions, at least not very often. So what we're saying, Robert, if you ever see this, well done, buddy.
Fucking great job, man.
We can't let you go, Lonnie. We can't spare you. We've been grooming you for too long, and yes, you've been alone. But your career has profited greatly from information that we've provided. Information that cost me dearly. You love your daughter. Krieger's men will be dying to make sure she has a father.
Bit of a threat right there.
Oh, yes. It's, even if we did let you go.
It's almost, it's pretty evil, really. He's using the tools of his enemy, right? Because what you're seeing here...
Not meant to mention that yet.
Because what you're seeing here, Lonnie has just confided in Luthen, saying, look, I have something to lose now, a daughter. And Luthen's went, hey, I could hurt that. So how about you jump when I say jump?
I don't necessarily think it's he can hurt the daughter. He's almost saying, look, if the ISB discover there's a mole, we won't protect you. And therefore, ultimately, the Empire's going to come down on your family.
Do you not see Luthen as giving a threat here?
I think he is, but I think
not
it's an
himself.
I think it's an indirect one.
See,
I think it's that.
I think Luthen's been a bit more twisted.
You think he's been more direct?
I do. I mean, like, put it this way: he's just turned up and said, "Look, I have 50 men that you can save," and Luthen's went, "I don't care because I can't give up the information." If he's willing to sacrifice 50 men in order to retain this information, I feel like he is in such a pragmatic state, like a lot of people that are on the good side of things.
I would argue that's not pragmatic. That would be a type of vengeance. You've betrayed us, so I'm going to seek some vengeance. Whereas
that's how
not protecting you would be the pragmatic thing. I don't. There's
things, but like
then again, the pragmatism would say I have to eliminate you because you know information.
The reason you should go hard. There's a reason why governments do not negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah.
And it's because as soon as you do it once, you've illustrated you can be essentially coaxed into a kind of position. Whereas if your position is, no, like, I'm principled on this, and you're no, and therefore the pragmatics comes through and you're not going to get out of line. But this is one of the great things.
It's one of those, I'll tell you what, you tell us, who's right? Is it that he's going to get him killed himself, or is he just not going to protect him when the ISB come for him?
To be clear, I think it's both. I think it's just one.
I might actually. I'm going to go more with you because...
No, it's staying in, guys. It's staying in. It's staying in.
If the ISB come for him, they know who Luthen is. He's seen his face.
No, it's staying in now, mate. I reckon keep calling.
Oh, jeez. I might have just picked up on... Why has he stepped forward to reveal his face to Lonnie? It's another part of the trap.
You've seen my face.
You've seen my face. So now... If anything does change, you're a dead. Fuck.
Good.
I love this scene.
You're trapped, Lonnie. There's no pleasure in saying it, but you're going nowhere.
So yeah, we've had an illustration of his pragmatism in the "you're too important to let you go." We've had the threat.
Yep.
And now we've had just pure confirmation.
Yep.
You're not going anywhere. This is not a negotiation. You are not going anywhere.
I've had my veiled words. Now I'm just telling you straight. Yeah. You're not going anywhere.
My sacrifice means nothing to you, does it?
So Lonnie, understandably upset, is expressing that Luthen only cares about Lonnie as a piece, as a pawn, and not as a person.
I said I think of you constantly, and I do. Your investment in the rebellion is epic. The double life, every day a performance, the stress of that. We need heroes, Lonnie, and here you are.
So I especially like that last bit. We need heroes, Lonnie, and here you are.
Yeah.
He does see the sacrifice that Lonnie is putting in here, the effort, the strain of keeping this facade up.
Yep.
That doesn't change anything.
And what do you sacrifice?
It's all right. You understand my sacrifice. What about you? And it's very much an emotional aspect there. Is if I give so much, you better damn well be giving a lot too.
Yep. Well, and again, the acting on both these actors is great. It's like Lonnie barking, he's angry, he's acting impulsively. Like, yeah, well, what do you sacrifice? You're like pulling all the strings in the shadows, and yet I have a daughter, and I'm,
I think
you
he's
expect
also
me to
he's
be-
attempting to regain some control of this conversation,
which is
Luthen
very
has been
believable.
taking it all away from him. He's completely undermined him so far. So trying to gain some control back. What about you?
And he kind of does.
Kinda
Because
does.
Luthen, you see on his face, he thinks, I haven't thought about this for a long time. What have I sacrificed? You can see that he's either, and maybe both, confused that Lonnie has to ask the question in the first place, or dumbfounded by the fact that he hasn't asked himself this in such a long time because he has nothing left to sacrifice.
And what do you sacrifice?
Calm. Kindness, kinship. Love.
So
Heating up now.
calm, kindness, kinship, love.
Human.
That is
human.
He's given up his humanity. He's not a person anymore. All of those normal interactions that we get every day,
Yeah.
they're gone.
Yep. So he has given up what it means to be a human in order to be in his seat.
I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts.
Give the writers a cookie. Give them a cookie.
I'm good. You're already at this point. I don't know if there's anyone who's not sitting there going, "Oh shit," That's sort of getting yourself absorbed into that, because that's just beautiful dialogue as well.
It's beautiful dialogue. It's buyable, especially from a character like him, and it conveys so much. And let's take that apart a bit, right?
Yeah, sure.
Start with inner peace. What's your take on the inner peace? He's saying, I've given up my inner peace.
He spends every day living in fear that the Empire could discover him, discover his connections, and just bring it all down around him.
Including Lonnie.
Exactly.
And I also get from that inner peace is that, and this echoes what he just said before, he's lost himself. Like, he's given up any hope of being a human. He's broken. He's haunted, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got sunless space.
I made my mind a sunless space.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's got no time to himself to think about normal, everyday things, no time to think about niceties. His mind is always where the job is going next.
Yeah.
He has to be in hiding at all times.
And then talking about where he lives, he says that he shares his dreams with ghosts. Again, a great scene, a great sentence to convey so much. I mean, like, the people he started this rebellion with are dead. They're gone, and he's haunted by them around him.
And he literally, share my dreams with ghosts. You can also have that as he thinks every day about the people that have given their lives for this cause.
Yeah.
So not just the people that started this fight with have died, but everyone.
Yeah.
And there's just a beautiful line that conveys that, I think.
And
I don't know if there's a better way you can say that.
It's like so many of us know what it's like to sit at a table and to accidentally make another cup of tea because a person who may have just went off to university or they're dead, whatever it might be, you feel the absence and you're like, damn, I'm haunted by the absence of that individual. They meant so much to me. If you had a cause that you're fighting for, that you believe in, and as you sit down, your 6 friends that you started this with, they're dead.
Yeah, and it builds into the inner peace and the sunless space.
Yeah,
is even at night when you can try and sleep a bit more peacefully.
Never a break.
No, it's even in his downtime.
Yep,
this is the stuff that's haunting him.
Great bit of dialogue there.
I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago from which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do.
And I think that's very much just a conclusion of the above statements.
Essentially, to speak in the way that I do, he's given premise, and then conclusion. Yeah.
My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, has set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, There's no longer any ground beneath my feet.
So you've had there with the 15 years, and when he looks down now, there's no ground beneath him.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much when I started this fight, I did not realise there was no way out for me. And he's obviously speaking very much to Lonnie there, who he's just told has no way out either. But it's this: once you're in, because even if you stop, the Empire's not going to stop hunting you.
No, no. And if you believe in a cause and you're not having a deontological framework in your mind, which most people don't, they have like a consequentialist framework, the very process of stepping through the hoops of fighting for your cause is going to change who you are as a person, if only because of the actions that you commit. Do you think he didn't do bad things in order to bring, to maybe stop it from having another dead person, another ghost to haunt him?
Mm-hmm.
And that changes you to such a degree. He's lost his humanity, which is one of the first things he was expressing.
Yeah, it's one of the grounding parts of a person, isn't it? It's their humanity, their ability to think and feel as a person. And he's not that anymore. He has to think of himself as a tool.
Yeah.
What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them.
That is an awesome quote.
I am condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them.
So, Lonnie's come down here and he's complaining, or he's upset, outraged even, by the idea of Luthen using him as a pawn. And he's saying right here, I don't want to do this, but I have to use the tools of my enemy. And you literally are my enemy. You're right in there. I have to use the tools of my enemy.
I have to use subterfuge. I have to use cruelty. I have to use terrorism. We learned this earlier. He needs the Empire to come down hard on ordinary people. So that is his tool. The Empire is his tool. The cruelty, the oppression that the Empire brings is his way of defeating the Empire.
And as we saw from his meddling so far, he has seen situations where he's went, right, I can get the Empire to strangle this community and thus cause more people to come to my cause.
Yes.
And he's encouraged it. He's put things in place to have it happen. So he's not just using the tools of his enemy, he is using his enemy in order to... And you would hate yourself for it, because if it's the thing you're fighting against, and yet I say to you, listen, you got to spend some money to make some money, Reese. So you're going to have to encourage the very thing you're fighting against to happen to this community so that enough people will get behind your cause for the greater good.
Yep.
You'll lose your humanity through this, and yet you can see why people would follow it. That's where principles are going to take you.
It's this element of irony. He's using injustice to fight for justice.
Yep.
But these are the options that are left to him.
What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see.
The writing for that, his delivery, again, it's that anger. I burn my life for someone else's future. He is giving up every part of himself.
He's creating and cultivating a future in which he doesn't belong. Now, there's a great saying that's said in philosophy, and that is that society grows great when men plant trees off which they will never enjoy the shade. You've got this wisdom that's caught in our culture, that's caught in culture in general, because you'll find this across the board. It's a very wise thing. I mean, if you think about it, it's about leave the world a better place than you inherited.
Yes.
And he's saying that I've sacrificed myself to such an extent that I will not be able to enjoy the shade of these trees.
We recently watched Serenity as well.
Yeah, that was great.
And what's great is you actually have the exact same worldview for what is the bad guy of that film. He's known as the Operative.
Yeah, great.
One of the things he says in that is he says to Mal, the main character, I will kill children.
Yep.
There's no place for me in the better world. I will kill children to help authority that I believe in win, and then I'm going to die. I'm going to leave. This isn't a world for me. I am a monster.
I don't murder children.
I do. If I have to.
Do you even know why they send you?
It's not my place to ask. I believe in something greater than myself. A better world. A world without sin.
So me and mine gotta lay down and die so you can live in your better world?
I'm not going to live there. There's no place for me there, any more than there is for you. Malcolm, I'm a monster. What I do is evil. I have no illusions about it, but it must be done.
Yep.
And this is reflected here in Luthen, who's our good guy, expressing the same worldview.
Yep.
I will do the awful things. I will burn my decency, my life, so that other people don't have to.
And again, this is why the characters in Andor are so damn good. It's not, I'm the good guy and I've never had to do anything wrong, and that's why I'm always like, oh yeah, I just avoided that and I did this. No, this is not what good guys look like. They do have to make some very serious sacrifices that compromise their very character, that compromise what got them started on this path in the first place.
I think every revolution or rebellion needs a consequentialist at its head.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that say the moral thing isn't what we do, it's the outcome.
Yeah.
So they can do awful things to achieve the ultimate good goal. Whereas I'm of more in that sort of sense of, geez, do I really want to do something that I know or I consider to be wrong, to be evil, in order to achieve my goal, or do I think I should try and get there without doing those things? Do I need to resort to the tools of my enemy? He stands in quite a bit of contrast to me, but I think it's also the only way such a rebellion can work.
He has that pragmatic stance of there are no bad tactics, only bad targets.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
It's very scary.
Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude.
The ego that started this fight doesn't exist anymore. Luthen has changed so much in the last 15 years that he's just not the same person. And what he just said there is that person will never see the light of gratitude. So I'm going to die, but even the person that I was won't get thanked for this because of the evils that I've done.
No, he dines with the ghosts at his table. He's gone.
And that works out quite well, because obviously then when we get to the films, Star Wars, Empire and all that, this isn't a character that gets mentioned. And it's not just because he's just been invented. It's because his work was so behind the scenes. And so, can you imagine if the Republic, after it was formed after the collapse of the Empire, found out the things that he done to make it happen? It would completely undermine their faith in the system.
Yeah.
So he knows that he can never be recognised for the stuff he's doing.
Nope.
It's great. And he knows it.
Yep. It's a true hero. It's a sacrifice where there's no reward.
So what do I sacrifice? Everything!
And that everything there, that's quite powerful, because he truly has.
Yeah.
He's given up himself as a person. He's given up any chance of reward. He's given up any recognition or release from this task that he's on. He can't back down. There's nothing left to lose for him.
And if you look at the emotions that he has, it really reveals that he has nothing left to lose. He has nothing left of him. What he has is cold pragmatism. That's the one side. And the other side is anger. That's it. Anger is the fuel to the pragmatic engine that is Luthen.
It's anger at the Empire, anger that he's had to lose so much, anger that he'd be questioned on whether he'd lose so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
And as we can see, Lonnie is speechless. It's just completely diminished his own struggle. It's like, okay, yeah, you have something to lose. I've already lost everything.
Yeah.
So don't lecture me on what I have to lose.
Just stay with me, Lonnie. I need all the heroes I can get.
You'll stay with me, Lonnie. I need all the heroes I can get. And I think what he's saying there is he's doing a few things.
You're definitely doing a lot of things with that, yeah.
Where he sacrificed so much, he does feel alone and isolated. So he needs people around him. When he says, I need all the heroes I can get, where he considers himself a tool, a pawn in this game, he needs people that still believe in the cause, that still feel things, that are willing to because one of the things about heroes is they will sacrifice to achieve stuff.
Yeah.
Where he's got nothing left, he can give up. So he needs those other people around him that are still willing to fight for that cause and sacrifice. And that's
yeah, I mean, like,
that's my thing on that anyway.
well, it's like what Luthen has to sacrifice now is heroes.
It's other people, yeah.
He's going to give up 50 men. That's a really big sacrifice. Like he's now playing a meta game, and he doesn't like that.
Well, I need all the heroes I can get because I'm going to lose some of them.
Yeah,
that's another element to it.
But the thing I really like about this is that I think he means it when he says a hero. Like Lonnie is a hero. What he's doing is incredible, and Luthen is finishing this off. He's crossing the T's and dotting the I's by going, look, all of this said, I respect you. And I really appreciate what you're doing. I need you. It's not just, I'm going to force you into it. I need you actually to be this role to continue what you're doing. You're a hero.
Yeah, and there's also the rebellion dies without heroes as well.
Yep.
So there's another reason that he needs Lonnie on board. So, God, every one of these lines, there's quite a lot that you can read into them, which makes this not only a beautiful piece of writing in terms of the monologue, but very efficient as well.
Yeah,
because it's conveying a lot.
It's a crescendo of many different parts you've seen in subtext and in different scenes. And it's one of the first times where you get a lot of the emotions that you'll get from watching Andor actually expressed and put forward. Everything else is going to come down to subtext, but here you're really being told about as straight as it does tell you, I'd say, which is one of the things that's good about it. It doesn't need to spoon feed you. You can just go, look, you can find it here of what's going on. And you just have two incredibly powerful, awesome characters, really well written. And one of them you didn't even know was a spy until this scene. It's great. It's such an awesome thing to see. I just want to see more television like this. This is really good stuff.
Absolutely. And then Luthen is done with this conversation. So
So how does he demonstrate it?
There's nothing left to say. You're going back to your job.
and it just ties a bow in all of this. Lonnie comes down going, I don't want to be controlled anymore. And he's like, boop.
Yeah. Lonnie's whole thing.
Back in your box, mate.
And Lonnie still has no control over his life.
Yeah.
It's a good conclusion to it. It's quite impactful.
So that right there was one wonderful scene from Andor. We both highly recommend that you check it out. And we're more than happy, and we probably will, make several more videos dedicated to Andor.
It's a show that's not been talked about enough. I know like we're a year late to it now, but fine. But it's one that slipped people by because there's a show about a secondary character in a spin-off to it's like, it's so far down the line. Who cares about him? Why are they doing a show about him? But I'm going to be honest, man. I think it's the best Star Wars has been since the original films.
I'll go further. I think it's better than anything Star Wars has ever produced. Bit of a critical hot take. I actually don't think that the first three films are very good.
Oh, geez, that's too much.
I know. Don't get me hurt here, but that's for another time. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, we've got
absolutely phenomenal.
There's more to come.
Yeah, there's more to come. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let us know what your thoughts are. Obviously, if you think that we're wrong, tell us below. Tell us that we're terrible people. Go for it. And yeah, just that's it really. Bye for now.